You're listening to Four Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast.
Today is Friday, April 24th. I'm Johnny Kahner. Thank you for listening to Four Things to Know. Let's get to our top story today. We're still following a high-speed chase during yesterday morning's commute. Dashcam video shows the moment the pursuit ended in a crash on I-394 in Golden Valley, but the chase actually began over in Bloomington. Frankie McClister was at the scene as police arrested one of the two men, and he has more on what he has learned since.
Police Chief Booker Hodges of Bloomington. Now, he says that the 20 and 27-year-old men who were detained had previous convictions and were released from jail just 2 weeks ago. In an online video, he said that we can't allow these people to get out. Now, it was two separate calls that put his department on alert after 7 a.m. on Thursday morning. One caller reported a stolen vehicle, and the other said that their home was being broken into. While executing the call, they tried to stop the vehicle, but it kept going, then crashing at 94th in Lyndale and hopping into another stolen car. The driver did that. Now, pushing the pedal, they then crashed again nearly 15 miles north.
Don't come to Bloomington and commit crimes. And I just want to thank our officers, the Edina Police Department, Minnesota State Patrol, and everybody else that helped with this. You cannot allow these people to get out and continue to commit these crimes.
Now, once the chase ended, both men ran across that right there as Highway 100. One ended up swimming in a pond where he ended up in police custody after treading water. We were on site when the second individual was detained, and that was with assistance from a canine. Now, we asked police about those previous convictions for both of the individuals. They said that both do have a history of motor vehicle theft, fleeing police, and burglary-related crimes. Nobody has been charged yet in this case.
Number 2 today, a tragic story. Two motorcyclists from Minnesota have died after crashing into each other in Wisconsin. We're learning that the crash happened Wednesday evening in Oak Grove Township in Pierce County. The sheriff's office says that 47-year-old Tamitha Thien of Maplewood was going north on State Road 35 when she collided with 26-year-old Evan Jorgensen of Cottage Grove. Jorgensen was heading south on 35. Both drivers were transported to Regions Hospital in St. Paul. Thien was pronounced dead at the hospital, and Jorgensen died yesterday. Number 3 today, we have new information about that deadly shooting in Edina that happened earlier this week. 3 of the 4 suspects are being released from jail. John Stroud was shot and killed Wednesday at an apartment near Southdale Center. The mall, M Health Fairview Southdale Hospital, and other businesses were locked down for several hours that day. The Hennepin County Attorney's Office says that the suspected shooter is now in custody, but there is not enough evidence at this time to support charges against the 3 other people arrested in this case. The County Attorney's Office says Edina Police agrees with them that there is not enough evidence against 3 of the suspects. WCCO's Reg Chapman is speaking to the victim's mother, and he'll have more on what she has to say coming up tonight on WCCO TV. And your 4th thing to know today, a would-be terrorist from Minneapolis is going to prison for trying to provide support for ISIS. Court documents say customs officers stopped 23-year-old Abdisatir Ahmed Hassan while he was trying to fly one way to Somalia in December of 2024. He had posted violent ISIS propaganda on social media and researched how to make explosives. Authorities then say he did confess his admiration for ISIS, and the FBI arrested him 2 months later. In October, Hassan pleaded guilty to trying to provide support to ISIS. And yesterday, a judge sentenced him to 8.5 years in prison. Those are your 4 things to know today. Now let's check in on our weekend forecast.
Happy Friday, guys. 6 Weather meteorologist Adam Del Rosso checking in. Things pretty quiet as we wrap up our Friday and head into the weekend. We will notice some clouds increasing through the overnight hours. You might not even notice them because it's going to be while you're sleeping. Nothing going to be falling from those clouds overnight. Low temperatures only falling back in the low to mid 40s. Tomorrow, there is the potential for a stray shower, especially later in the day. More of a nuisance than anything else. It's not going to create that many problems. Seasonable temperatures in the low 60s. We head into our day on Sunday. We're going to be closer to 70. We'll keep the clouds around, but winds pick up ahead of our next system that brings some widespread rain for Monday.
And now, here's more to know.
Minnesota lawmakers are a step closer to beefing up the punishment for someone pretending to be a cop. This new bill is in the wake of the lawmaker attacks over the summer. Prosecutors say the accused assassin, Vance Belter, pretended to be a police officer before shooting DFL lawmakers and their family members at their homes. The House unanimously approved the bill to make impersonating a police officer a felony, and at the moment it's just a misdemeanor. So under the new plan, it would mean up to 2 years in prison. And if someone committed a crime while impersonating an officer, there would be more punishments. Authorities say Vance Belter wore a mask and pretended to be police with a fake cop car and all when he showed up at lawmakers' homes in the middle of the night knocking on the door. On Thursday, we heard powerful testimony from one lawmaker who Belter visited, DFL Representative Kristen Bonner, but thankfully she was not home.
Ann and I would have opened that door because we trust our police departments. We believe that they are the good guys, embedded in us from the time we are small. That this is the cavalry coming to save us. That is the particularly heinous nature of what happened on June 14th.
Minnesota Senator John Hoffman survived that attack, and right now he is actually carrying a similar bill through the Senate. Last night, a community meeting brought together a family. That family's ICE arrest made national news, and a police leader also trying to keep the peace during that surge.
Unprecedented situation, and I think the police department in Minneapolis showed the rest of the country how to perform and how to try and thread that needle as best we can.
That was Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara. City leaders and residents gathered at Dios Habla Hoy Church to highlight community support efforts in the wake of Operation Metro Surge. The evangelical church of about 500 members handled thousands of requests for help during the surge. Liam Ramos and his family were special guests last night. Church leaders say their ICE arrest was an example of a story that played out thousands of times across the country. O'Hara's appearance there just came after a few hours after WCCO sat down for a conversation with the police chief. That conversation focused on the department's response to domestic violence cases. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty said it's taking too long for police officers to show up. She was referencing the case of Mariah Samuels. We've talked about that a couple times this week. Samuels died at the hands of her ex-boyfriend despite calls to MPD. The department also faced criticism for the death of Allison Lucier. She was found dead in her apartment in 2024, just days after her 9th call to 911.
We remain committed to continue to do everything we can to try and address domestic violence. It's a serious issue, but it is a challenge because it's one of many issues that are important that we're trying to address all at once.
Chief O'Hara says hiring more officers is critical. The number of domestic violence investigators is far below what he says it should be, but the chief says the department is already improving response times. Other changes include pilot programs on how to better assess whether a case could escalate to a homicide. Officers are now required to ask victims additional questions about their safety. Officers also had a refresher on related laws, and there are now statewide alerts to find domestic violence suspects. To another story we're continuing to follow, there are now 3.5 weeks left to save the state's top trauma hospital. We're now learning more about what it will take to actually make that happen. So we spoke with Hennepin County Commissioner Jeffrey Lund.
And every day becomes more important as I keep reminding everybody that we have that much time to continue to advocate, and at no point should we ever stop, because we owe no one anything but our absolute last fight for this.
County leaders say they are making progress with state leaders with support from both sides. They're asking for a 1% sales tax. That would mean a 40-cent increase on a $40 meal. Or if you buy a $30,000 car in the county, add $300. The legislature has 24 days to act. We know it's been a busy sports scene in the Twin Cities. The NFL draft last night, Timberwolves and Wild playoff runs. Sports fans have been buzzing, and for local businesses, it's all a necessary lifeline. They did take a hit during Operation Metro Surge, and many say the recovery has been slow. But these past few nights have had fans showing up in full force in both Twin Cities. We spoke with Tim Mahoney. He owns the Loon Cafe in Minneapolis and Zamboni's on 7th in St. Paul. He says this is the comeback they really needed.
That's why this is so important for the city of Minneapolis and the city of St. Paul. The Wild and the Wolves are super important to bring that fan base back downtown. When we get to playoffs, it's a whole new level of business downtown.
Now let's get to sports. Big win last night for the Timberwolves. They take a 2-1 series lead over the Denver Nuggets. The Denver defense struggled last night at Target Center, especially in the first half. That's when the Wolves scored 61 points before halftime. And you might remember Jaden McDaniels talked some trash after game 2. He had a great night last night, great on defense, had 20 points and a double-double on offense. It was a really big performance, and he backed up the talk.
Us playing aggressive, like not letting them, one time they cut us off, not letting that just make us pass, just keep going, if making a second move on the defender and just playing in space. I'll say getting downhill and transition a lot helped, and then attacking mismatches really.
Both teams are back at it again tomorrow night at Target Center. Let's get to the Wild now. They have a critical Game 4 tomorrow as well in St. Paul. They trail the Dallas Stars 2-1. They're really going to need this one tomorrow. It can't go down 3-1 going back to Dallas. Let's hope they get it done. That is a 4:30 puck drop. Let's quickly get to NFL draft coverage. Tonight, the Vikings have 3 picks, 1 in the second round and 2 in the third rounds. Last night, the Vikings chose Caleb Banks at number 18 overall in round 1. Banks is a huge defensive tackle out of the University of Florida. 6 feet, 6 inches tall, 328 pounds. Now, the reason actually there is some skepticism around the pick is Banks has a little bit of an injury history. He cracked a bone in his left foot back in February. He did have surgery on it last month, but it was his second procedure in 6 months. And injuries to his left foot caused him to miss games in both 2023 and 2025 for the Gators.
One day at a time, you know what I mean? I'm getting better, getting healthy, so I can go out there and perform when that time comes. So I'm feeling good, feeling great. Just got a CT scan. CT went well. So everything's going for it. Good going for it. You know, you get under a good coach and a good staff and a good team and good teammates, great teammates. Like you gonna want to go hard every single play for them boys. So that's pretty much me. Athletic, shoot, 1-on-1. Did I say competitive? That's me. I'm gonna talk smack all day long.
It's time to take a breath with your Daily Bright Spot.
Here's an interesting one. Grilled cheese officially crowned America's favorite sandwich. I would not have guessed that. Yeah, that's according to a survey by YouGov.com. 79% of people said they preferred grilled cheeses over other sandwiches. Turkey and grilled chicken sandwiches tied for second. Roast beef came in fourth. The study did say that it found the type of sandwich preferred varied by region. Grilled cheese, I mean, of course it tastes good, whatever, but it's pretty simple, no protein really. I like give me a turkey avocado, something like that. Even a tuna melt's better. Grilled cheese, really America's favorite sandwich? Yeesh. I'm Johnny Kahner. You've been listening to 4 Things to Know. We are here with the news you need every weekday afternoon by 3 o'clock. Thanks so much for listening today, for watching us on YouTube. We'll be back on Monday. Have a good weekend, everybody.
Listen to 4 Things to Know, a WCCO daily news podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
Love podcasts? Love Minnesota?
Check out the WCCO podcast studio lineup.
Hear the top stories of the day with 4 Things to Know.
Discover top female athletes and teams from around the state on women in sports.
Dive into stories about faith and belief, from your local leaders to your neighbors next door, with Bigger Than Belief.
Stay in the know on the go with the WCCO podcast studio. Go to WCCO.com/podcasts.